So thank you for being here. I'm Fanny Lakoubay. I'm the co-founder of 100 Collectors. We're doing the VIP Lounge this year. But I'm here more with the hat of co-founder of WAC Lab, which was a Web3 for arts and culture institutions, which is a fellowship and incubator for museums who want to innovate with Web3 technology. And so we have, as Julia knows because she was in the panel last year, every year at NFC it's a little tradition. John every time is like, don't you want to do like a museum panel? I'm like, okay, we'll do it. But we don't want to repeat it every year because we don't want to also bore the ones who have been here before. And like museum in 2025 are no longer just acquiring or exhibiting digital or blockchain-based art. They are also innovating with new models, new ways to really change their processes and fundamentally change what or how museums deal with digital art. So we're going to try to focus on what's new this year in 2025 and trends that we have seen emerging, and we are have a panel of amazing leaders in the field, and they have all very different profiles. And so because we only have so many minutes, I hope you're okay with me introducing you, but we have B, also known as Beautyandpunk, an early collector in the crypto art space, also a great defender of women in Web3 with many educational projects. And then we have Elena, who represents Collection Solo, with a Madrid-based museum focused on contemporary art and experimentation, and you'll see many innovations that they've done within the institution to innovate. Then we have Julia. Some of you might know her as Julie, also a great CryptoPunk collaborator, ex-moderator.
Not ex, I'm still moderating.
You're still moderating? Oh, apologies.
It's for life.
It's for life. Did you sign with your blood? So, and also a curator at the Francisco Carolinum Linz Museum. And then, last but not least, I'm sorry I introduced you last, but you're the only man in this panel, so it's nice sometimes to see more women in a panel. We have, sorry, I don't want to butcher your last name, Gad Edery, who is the founder of the Online Museum of Photography and a project called In Gad We Trust, and a gallery in Paris for photography. So today, I want to start with more of the new models for museums. Really explore how museums engage with digital art. And I want to start with you, Elena, if you don't mind.
It's good.
Because I want you to tell us a little bit how Collection Solo is not just Collection Solo in I was going to say al dentro, but no. Inside Collection Solo, you have an innovation studio on Chaos. Yeah. I would love for you to tell us about...
Yeah, so long story short, the institution started as a private collection for contemporary art, medium agnostic. And then suddenly the founders realized that they wanted to do commissions and then wanted to expand in the way they were helping artists. Suddenly they started getting interest on digital artists, blockchain artists. So they started to commission works, and we have this project inside the institution that is called On Chaos. We were developing hand-to-hand with the artists some interesting projects such as Boto, for example, with Mario Klingemann. We've been supporting him for 6 years, and it's been wild. And I think that every museum, no matter what, contemporary art is changing a lot, and everyone is facing difficult times, I guess, for funding, exhibiting. It's not the best moment. So we try to have inside our project different things that we can offer to artists. So we collect, we commission, but we also sales. We also share our collection with other collections. So you can have our collection, your place. And this is what we try to do to expand in the way we work with artists. Right now we are also trying to engage with some universities to also have a research group for digital arts to really expand in the way that we engage with these artists and give resources to them beyond an exhibition space. We want to have engineers and all this type of other people that is needed to go for a more complex installation-based or blockchain-based works.
So really having the internal resource to handle more complex like exhibitions.
Yeah, we even have a conservation lab, all mediums-based also, but we are trying to make our best efforts to make documentation for example, memories of passers-by, because we know that it's not easy for other institutions also to handle this kind of works. It's not easy to exhibit, it's not easy to understand how to switch on, to switch off an artwork in a normal museum that is not accustomed. So we try our best to give every artwork all the documentation and context that is needed to have it beyond our times, I guess.
Yeah, and can I ask, the format of On Chaos is part of collection Solo internally, right? It's not like external agencies that advise the museum.
We have Solo is the big brand, I guess, and we have different initiatives, and each of them has their own internal people. We all work for Solo, but we have expertise for each of the things, okay. So it's cool.
So an internal innovation lab inside the museum. I love it how you're cannibalizing the other.
May I ask, where is this? Is the museum physically based?
Yeah, it's based in Madrid. We had one space open since 2017. And actually today we are opening a new second space in Madrid.
Congrats!
Yeah.
Not a euphemism.
No. We are opening a commercial gallery because we understand that for our artists that we commission, they also need more collectors. Yeah. And this is the way to grow an artist, to embrace their work beyond you and what you can offer, to expand their work across the world. So yeah, we are pretty excited. And also, maybe next year we open a new space in Lisbon. So let's see what happens with that.
No, and it's a great segue because if I want to move to Gad, because you have a gallery in Paris and also founded a museum of photography, and so I want to ask you what is the model of this new museum and how it works in relation with your gallery, because as we talked yesterday, we mentioned that it's uncommon, right? For museums have stores and sell artworks, and so I want to hear how you thought about the format of the museum and the gallery.
Thank you, Fanny. The thing is, as I told you yesterday, in the art world, you've got two types of museums. You've got the ones that are funded by the states and the private museums. The states, basically, their purpose is to collect as much as possible to reflect what's the tendencies of the world, of the artist. And they don't have any issues with money because they work with your money and with my money, most of them. Some are partly private, some are state-owned. Okay. In my case, the idea came very naturally because I'm a collector at heart, and I became a gallerist really by chance. So at the beginning, it was photography, and it's still photography. The gallery is quite well known in the world of photography, and the issue is how can I have more education towards a bigger audience, to tell them, to teach them what is photography and how you can approach the real subjects of life through through an image, basically. And nowadays everybody has an iPhone. That doesn't make them a photographer. If you give me some eggs and some flour and some water, I won't be Pierre Hermé. I would be a okay cook, but I won't be a great chef. And it's the same with photography. The issue here is, and the idea of the museum came in order to give access to people who are living in remote places. I'm fortunate, I live in a big city, in Paris, with plenty of museums, but you've got some kids that are living 10 kilometers away from Paris, or 15, or in the middle of nowhere in France, that don't have access to that. So the idea is, okay, I'm here to give you access to culture through photography, and the idea with me being here is I start looking at all the new artists with digital art. It's something emerging. It's the first time, if you think about it, my background is finance, so if you think about it, that's the first time in centuries that we see the emergence and the rise of a new currency coming out of nowhere. At the same time, with the new technologies, you have also, those are tools. The artists, let's say the young people in generation, for them, they need the way to express themselves beside the brush strokes or the camera and stuff like that. So my point is to be able to show what I think is interesting. It's only my taste and my assistant taste and people around me.
Your choice.
It's at the end, it's my business, so I can do whatever I want over there. And yes, and in order to be able to be financially sustainable, not making profit, just break even, I have to be able to give the opportunity to a viewer to buy what he likes. Because to go into a art gallery is not something very common. People think, oh, it's a gallery, it's art. It's not for me. I can't afford it. They don't even dare to ask the price because they go straight away, no, it's not for me, it's not my background. I'm too poor for that, which is a stupid way to do it, but that's the way it is. And if you go to a museum and say, okay, I like that, maybe I want to have it at home. How much does it cost? And then there's an inquiry, and then it's good for everybody. It's good for the artist, it's good for the buyers, and of course it's good for the museum. I'm not a philanthropist.
No, and it goes back to Elena, like you're opening a commercial space like, on top of the museum, and the role of the collector as well, like within a museum. And I think this is kind of what I wanted to talk to you about, because that's you're part of like the LACMA digital art leaders, I think that's called, and you have like had major museums, especially this year, like becoming public with digital art councils. We were supposed to have Benny Redbird as well here with part of a digital art committee for the Whitney, the other coast. But yeah, I wanted to ask you like what was or if you can explain maybe like what it is and your role as a collector and the reception really from the museum.
I have to say it has been very interesting to have those dialogues. Also because I don't collect just digital, tokenized art. I have been a collector for as long as I can remember. When my city did not have museums, so you develop the love for art in any way, shape, or form that you can, and you get magazine cuts, and you get postcards, and eventually you look for that. And this is also something where digital art is amazing. Just little parenthesis is the difficulty of taking pieces from one point to another in the traditional art world is incredible. The security, the insurances, the transport, the shipping, the handling, and how much simpler it all becomes with the digital, and how many more people you can onboard and expose and teach, and they can learn and develop new tastes and open minds with digital art that we couldn't do before. That's a great tool. And I like seeing museums embrace that and see that. Okay, it tells me that they have learned a little bit from history. You know, photography was not art at some point. You know, so much of art that we know now was not art at some point. And it's
I agree.
Right? It's just the next wave of the same thing. I'm happy to see that some museums are learning from that history, not repeating that history. Like, yeah, we've been here before. Let's try to be a little bit more open-minded and learn and bring people in that have been in the space, in the traditional art space, that understand us, and that understands the other side too. How do we bridge those two things? How do we make them become one? It's not, we don't have to be accepted by the traditional art world, but people need to understand that art is art. And I'm very happy to have those conversations. I am so happy to be on those, to have a seat at that table. And the experience of being 8 years in this space has to count for something. So yeah, it's been rewarding to see them learning from history and try not to repeat it. And hopefully more will join.
And so what? How? I mean, and tell us what you can tell us. Like, I mean, I'm sure, but I mean, to me, it's very interesting on how you. Or what's your impact, right? Like, and recommending or working with curators within the museum to suggest works or artists, or
not only that, but even if they do have an artist in mind, how do you exhibit?
Very nice. On scenography as well.
It's the whole package, because that's the other thing. Like, how do you store it? How is the documentation? Because traditional art world has thought about all those things, and we are in infancies here. So a lot of the artists that are in our space don't have that background, and we need to document those things and make them permanent. So there's a sense of permanency and legacy that I talked to Natalie Stone a lot about, that we have to start thinking about, because we have thought about this for art for centuries. We cannot lose track of that, because it is important for many people, also collectors. Sometimes I have a piece and I don't know how do I exhibit. Also, when technology changes, how do I maintain it? Do I go back to the artist? Is there any type of guideline that I could follow to maintain the integrity of that artwork? So,
no, it's very interesting, because it's actually Christian Paul, who is a curator of digital art at the Whitney. They've developed some like acquisition or like questionnaires, right? Like, and that really, to me, are like the base. And she was really, I mean, to my knowledge, like the first one to think about what question a museum should ask when they acquire or even exhibit like a digital artwork, because none of like the previous points or questionnaires do apply anymore. And you're right. There's still very few. Also, we were saying like there's very few museums who are like also collecting or even looking at what they can do with digital art.
And the thing is, they do sometimes collect digital art,
but not always.
But it's not tokenized, so it's somehow a different category. Just because it's not tokenized.
It's almost more complicated, because you add like the cryptocurrency layer.
So we were talking, we were talking to a gallery, and like, we saw there was a digital art piece, and like, okay, let's try to see what the artist did and how it is. Oh yeah, you get this flash drive, and that is it. Okay, and that was this whole complication of how many times you could print it, and like if you could give it to anyone, the print, there was all these complications on the traditional digital artwork. However, if you tokenize and you have all that information imbued in it, it's so much easier.
Someone told me once that like actually what NFTs did to digital art was make it less awkward to acquire, and I loved it, because if you're a digital art collector and you like were acquiring something, you would never know what format it would come in, and that kind of like standardized things. But I want to go to Julia, because you've been a curator at the Francisco Carolinum Linz, who's been like you created probably the first metaverse exhibition for them.
There was a person doing that before me. The museum actually founded the metaverse location in 2021.
Yes.
I started working there in 2023.
Okay.
So I was surprised to find a museum in Austria that already has a CryptoVoxels parcel, which was close to our CryptoVina parcel.
Yes.
And we were pretty surprised to find an institution having a parcel in a metaverse. And later, I was headhunted to work for them.
Parenthesis on Austria is that, like, if you go to the crypto stamps like
Booth, yeah,
center,
they started in 2019.
They're,
so
they're very early. Austria
is pretty pioneering there.
Yeah. But sorry, to go back to your role, because it's like you've been there for some time, and like wondering like how it has evolved, because you really have a digitally native like background and approach to things, and wondering like what you've seen evolve as a reception and collaboration in the museum.
What was the first thing that really struck my mind is that, like, I work for a company that has a bunch of museums in there. Like, we are 6 curators for like 19 locations, and among these 19 locations that we have listed, the metaverse location is one of the official locations of the museum. So they're really acknowledging the metaverse since back 2021. And when I came to the museum, we had an Ethereum collection and a Tezos collection, and I recently made a Taproot Bitcoin wallet to also collect some ordinals. What I found is that everybody's really open-minded and embracing the digital art, but they also very much trust my opinion, of course, because there's not many experts in this field yet. But I think that's evolving, and more institutions are getting into that. And what you said before about NFTs making it so much easier, and everybody thinks it's for eternity, that's sadly not really the fact. But if you are a museum and you collect NFTs, what you said about this list of questions, you need not always all the information is in the metadata of the NFT. Most of the cases, the artist did not even think about how to exhibit it.
No, sometimes there's not even a description of the artwork. Like, like there's the title and that's it. I do think it's easier to move it around and show it to more people and to teach more people about art. But by no means it is easier to keep. And is it IFPS? Is it on chain?
Do you need the data? Do you need to store it? And especially on how many hard drives? It's really, there's more to conserving NFTs, and museums' roles is also to conserve the art, not only to show it,
stewardship,
and tell people about it, and like make as many people as possible know about it, but also preserve it for the future, and not only the next 5 years. Like maybe in a couple of years we'll have a bunch of broken image file NFTs, and then it's good.
We do already.
Yeah. We do already.
Yeah.
I think that people tend to forget the history of art. And that subject was already addressed in the 70s by the Fluxus movement, when you could buy a conversation between two artists. And the thing is, okay, what do you do with it? And the question is, we don't care. You just own the conversation. You can put it on your walls. You can put it in your drawing, in your drawer. It doesn't really matter. The thing is, the collector, which is on my side. I don't know what a collector is. I know I am a collector, but when I see someone's coming to the gallery, he's a buyer. The fact that he's a collector, that's his problem, not mine.
Well, yeah, you're on the business side.
Yeah, and the thing is, what he wants to do with the digital art, with the NFT, will he be there in 2,000 years? Honestly, I don't care, I will be dead.
But as a gallerist, but I think as a museum, like in the museum contract, like there's a preservation mission. That like conservation is like a huge department in like all the Museum of Contemporary Art and more like
and also
that's
the simple
very, very
love
new.
of art. The simple love of art, I think, makes you want to preserve it, and I think this is, at least for me and anyone that in my bubble exists. When you know about artworks, you want to see them preserved, and not caring.
For the
it's
value
very
as well.
callous. It's very callous to the whole. Yeah, it is a part of the puzzle of the society of the times that we live. The economical. It's a little piece of that puzzle, and right now we have so many pieces of the puzzle, and it tells a more colorful story.
Yeah.
And not caring about, maintaining that.
I don't know how I feel because, of course, we have to preserve art. But I know this artist that she's called Joanna Moll. She's not on the blockchain space, but she does a bunch of websites. She's really cool. You should check it out. She was like, I was listening to her in a panel, and she was like, "There's so much stuff. I don't know if I want everything that I have done in my life to be preserved all the time."
Yeah.
Because there's also this thing, like when you see an artwork, like there's like a materials, like sense of the work that is always in decay. And also interested in like exploring how we are managing decay on the digital space, right? Like because there are a bunch of like net art artists that I love, and I cannot see their works anymore. Yeah. But at the same time, I don't mind because someone done the work of preservation.
No,
yeah.
We should bring more mics. Yeah. We need more mics. Do not fight.
May I jump in?
But I agree with you. But I think it should be. What? Seriously? I think it's his time of the month. I agree with you, but I think it should be the artist's decision. That is, I agree. Not everything should be preserved, but it should be the artist's decision. When Kusama left Japan, she left literally truckloads of artwork.
So the message should really be to the artist.
Yes.
That like, if you're an artist, really, Mr. Ricci, for example, artist intent needs to be clear.
We have a lot of very ephemeral artworks also in the NFT space. For example, James Bloom's works that change over time and interact with the blockchain. So there's not really a way to save it unless you screen record it for a while, and it will only represent what happened. So in many cases, like in performance art, it's the documentation that in the end is what's gonna be left. There might be an NFT on the blockchain that hints to a code that might be working still or not. But we need to document, we might need to preserve the code separately, so it's really a big effort. And
so we have our next panel topic. It's artist intent and preservation. Noted. Will happen. But I think for like we have like 2 minutes left. I know. So let's do speculative futures. If we meet next year, same place, similar time, what is the one topic or the one evolution you want to have seen at museum with Web3, digital art, crypto art, like one trend or one thing you want to talk about next year? I'm going to write it down and we're going to talk about it next year.
I want to see museums not putting every other MP4 on a screen, like a random screen. Yes. Like, I cannot handle it. Like, we really need to take respect of the artist's like way of dealing with an artwork. Sometimes the artist wants to see the work in a type of a scale that we need to take like charge of it. You know, you cannot put like a random like image on a random screen because you're flattening the work.
Yep, noted.
Yeah, like that's my.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think a lot of the problems we have, even for the
public, it has to be different. Like you can't agree and like I mean I need 4 points. Like.
So I want to see how our museums helping artists document their work in a way that helps them preserve in the artist's intent.
This is a very complicated sentence. I'm like trying to write it down.
And I will not be able to say it again.
I would love to see more museums maybe collaborate together and also grow community and like enabling artists, helping artists, but also coming up with new concepts of presenting. And I would love to see in general more collaboration in the space.
Ooh, that is
also
nice.
In the like right now it feels like most museums kind of have their own thing and are a little bit in competition with each other.
Yeah.
And we could maybe get some mutual interest and work together a bit more.
Absolutely.
Connect.
I have examples. I have ideas. So we'll follow up.
On my side, there are a few things I would like to see. First of all, I would like to see the new generation be more interested in classical art and history of art. And I want to see how we can bring them to culture, because we are lucky we're here. So we already have an interest. But the thing is, how we can make the new generation, or the people of my generation, coming more towards art, and how we can all that in the benefit of a better society. You know, but the thing is, the real issue at the end of the day is whether we want to have a society with culture or without culture, and with philosophy or without philosophy. And my point is to bring the art world, the art market, and the museum market together. And of course, with onboarding the artist, because at the end of the day, we are in the same boat, really.
So, I'm sorry to cut you because I'm getting signs from we're up together.
We wave at you as well.
So no, thank you very much, everybody, and I want you to give a big round of applause to these amazing people. Applauding each other. It's so nice. It's so short. Thank you.